Alrighty, so UFC 320 is concluded, but we got a banger in Rio for UFC Fight Night something something in Rio de Janeiro. Charles do Bronx Oliveira is taking on short notice replacement Mateus Gamrot. Let's get into the predictions. Get the fuck off my screen, ad. Anyways, we're advertising Digimon in Big 2025. Anyways, I haven't really seen too much of this card, but it looks kind of interesting. Looks kind of interesting so far, and you know how these videos go. I'm going to break down every single fight, give you my thoughts and opinions, picks and predictions, and then when the fight concludes, I'm going to be posting a reaction video, so stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Last week, I think I went 11-3, and if you remove women fights, I went 10-2. We'll get into why you would remove the women's fights. Oh my god. But yeah, let me just set this up, and while I set this up, let me keep yapping. But yeah, what a crazy event UFC 320 was. I have like a little bit more of a breakdown. I'm gonna upload earlier. I just recorded the video. I gotta get a thumbnail and everything. This week it's gonna be, I'm recording everything on a Sunday, so this is literally like right after UFC 320, like the night after pretty much. And that's mainly because it's my birthday week, so I'm gonna be enjoying some time off. AKA probably just watching a bunch of shows and, you know, working, doing stuff like that. But with that being said, without further ado, let's get into the card here. Starting off with Simon Oliveira versus Luan Lacerda. This guy's fought in the UFC. Yeah. Wow. This, wait, what? Huh? This, oh, man, like, what alleyway are we finding these fucking bums, bro? Holy shit. What a way to start off the card. Obviously, this is Rio, so there's going to be a lot of Brazilian fighters. Brazil versus Brazil, eh? How the fuck is this guy minus 250 if he's lost both debuts? Or both fights in the UFC? By the way, a little dehydrated. I'm going to be sipping a drink throughout the whole video. It is a caffeinated beverage. I don't know. Alani, whatever. My sister likes this drink, told me to try it out. I tried it out. Anyways. Simon Oliveira. Why? I can't remember a single fight this guy's had. David Martinez. Counter straight, right to ground punches. Why the fuck is Oliveira? This guy's big, right? He's tiny. Never mind. What the fuck? What? I can't remember a single fight these guys have ever had. What the fuck? Cody Stamann 3 years ago. Come on, Black. This guy hasn't fought in almost. This guy hasn't fought in almost 2.5 years, and he's a minus 300 favorite. What? What? Okay, I need to do some research here. I do take most of my picks seriously here, so that's why Martinez. What the fuck? Anyways. This guy? Oh, this is the guy who fought Rob Font. What round was it? Round 1. Why do I not remember this at all? Odd. Very odd. This is the Battle of the Bums. They found these guys in the alleyway of Rio de Janeiro. I don't know where, like, who the fuck they're hiring to get these guys in the UFC. These guys seem like they're clocking in. I reckon this is going to be like a weird 29-28 either way. I'm gonna go with the guy who... He's small, though. What is this, bantamweight? This is a tough one. I'm gonna go with Oliveira here. Yeah. Yeah. I think this is gonna be like a weird decision or some shit like that. I don't remember these guys fighting in the UFC at all. And just, you know, quick background check. I've been watching for about 3 years. You know, top to bottom on every single fight card. And that's about my experience. I don't remember seeing these guys ever fight. I definitely have seen them fought, but I can't picture them throwing a punch. I can't picture them at all. I'm gonna go with Oliveira. Fuck it. There's gonna be a Oliveira that wins, so I'm gonna pick this Oliveira just in case. We move on to a women's fight. Now, some people like to use the pick doctor. Some people, aka AI, to use logic and reasoning. Some people like to use logic and reasoning, or AI, or I think I just said that. Holy shit. Sorry, I just recorded a video. I'm a little frazzled, and I'm a little tired because I just got off work. But regardless of that, Julia Polastri versus Carolina that. She looks like Alexa Grasso. Am I crazy? Yeah, so some people, they use methods. I use my tried and true method of a coin flip. Heads is the woman on the left, tails is the woman on the right. And we get tails. Ooh. You know, yeah, Carolina's gonna win this 29-28. I don't give a fuck, man. I mean, she's Polish. Yeah, so we're going with Carolina here. Moving on to real fights. Walter Walker versus Muhammad Usman. I don't know why they gave Walter Walker, like, finally I can talk about a real fight. Holy shit. Anyways, we're about 6 minutes in. We finally get to the real fights. Walter Walker, Johnny Walker's brother. You guys know this. I mean, obviously you guys know this. Coming off, I think, 3 back-to-back-to-back heel hook submissions. He looks really technical on the ground. Had a really dog shit debut. Very, very bad debut. Since then, he's been looking like a monster. The Clean Monster's kind of a... I actually didn't realize that was his nickname. Muhammad Usman, this is the battle of the UFC brothers here. You know, you have Walter Walker being Johnny Walker's brother, and then you have Muhammad Usman being Kamaru Usman's brother. Muhammad Usman kind of is a wrestler, but he throws heavy. He just, like, whiffs a lot of the time. Walter Walker is a little bit more of a grappler as well. This, to me, is a tailor-made matchup for Walter Walker, and this screams Walter Walker by submission in round 1 via... Now, it could be a heel hook. He might be able to do a heel hook, and I would not be surprised if this is a 4th round, or, a 4th heel hook in a row submission for Walter Walker. But, like, I think we just saw this on 320, like, Ramiz versus Andreas Gustafsson. Andreas is a little older. Muhammad Usman is a little old. Like, we just saw this happen in a different division. And we have a lot more reasons to believe, because these guys are well-tested. 36-year-old guy, almost a 10-year age advantage for Walter Walker. Muhammad Usman hasn't been able to get a knockout in the UFC, right? Or he knocked out some... No, he hasn't. He hasn't got a knockout in the UFC? Oh, this guy's cooked. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't been able to really do much. Even though I do think... Yeah, I think he beat Hamdi. There was a fight here. I think he lost to Jake Collier. I think that's what I'm thinking of. But regardless of this... Muhammad Usman is, like, kind of dog shit. He doesn't know how to close rounds and make them clear. That's why I'm going to be going with Walter Walker, but I'm also going to be going with this. This seems like Muhammad Usman's going to struggle on the feet because Walter Walker's a big dude. Bro, 6'6" is crazy. Same reach, too. This guy's probably going to, like, leg kick. Usman's going to go in for a takedown. Walter Walker's very quickly going to go for a submission very early on. I reckon, like, we're probably going to see Walter Walker land a few blows within the first minute. And after the first minute, Usman, like... Kamaru Usman's going to be yelling, shoot a takedown, and Muhammad Usman's going to go for a fucking takedown, and he's going to get, like, guillotined, he's going to get armbarred, he's going to get fucking subbed somehow. I'd reckon a guillotine or, like, a front choke, some shit like that, but I could see a heel hook as well. This just seems like 1-1 equals 2. Walter Walker by submission. This is like a discount. I might sprinkle some money on Walter Walker by submission, depending on what those odds are. This seems like a tailor-made matchup for him. And I could see a decision. Walter Walker, I think, is better everywhere. Moving on, we have Lucas Rocha versus Stuart Nicole? Who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck is that guy? Ooh, Jesus Aguilar beat this guy, eh? Jesus is aight. He's alright. Sometimes he doesn't do enough to clear rounds. But he's got a good guillotine, so that's not a bad loss. Now, losing to Clayton Carpenter by submission's a bad look. That is, that's a pretty bad look. Clayton Carpenter is kind of dog shit, in my opinion. I don't think that guy's that good. Both of the... Bro, this is... Where are they finding these bums, bro? They must have scraped the bottom of the barrel after fucking UFC 320 to find these fighters. I'm gonna go with... Why is this guy the favorite? Australia, Australia is pretty aight for, like, takedown defense and shit, but I just don't like him getting subbed the way he did. By the way, I only watch UFC, I don't watch LF, no one cares, Bella, no one asked. I don't really care about those, organizations, I just watch Ultimate Fighting Championship. So I'm going off their performances, and if I'm remembering correctly, this guy got, like... I want to say submitted later. I'm going to be doing research for this fucking whole card. I can already smell it. Lucas Rocha. I think this guy's a okay striker if I'm not mistaken. Right? Yeah, it was later in round 2-ish. Kind of. Technical submission, eh? Actually, wait, I can just do... Can't I do this? And then live review here, boys. Don't worry. You know, we care about our picks over here at Barry Ben Global here. Where the fuck is he? Lucas Rocha. We can click this, and then we can go at previous fights. Yeah, he was doing alright against Clayton Carpenter, I want to say. But he just wasn't able to stuff a takedown. Yeah, I'm gonna go with, I'm gonna go with Lucas Rocha. I'm gonna take a chance. He looks really pudgy in this photo. I feel like that's not what he looks like when he's in the cage. Wow, a lot of people are on this kid. Holy shit. Alright, looks like I got a fucking good nose. I'm gonna go with Rocha, probably by decision or something weird. It's flyweight. It could get scrappy. It could get grapple heavy. Flyweights are pretty well-rounded at everything. Lucas Rocha, I think, survived longer than fucking this guy. And Jesus Aguilar's alright. I don't rate that too much. Lucas Rocha's also young, to be fair, as well. Yeah, I want to say this guy's like like an okay striker. I thought he was doing okay against Clayton Carpenter. Maybe that was also like a short notice thing that I'm thinking about it. I don't know. But regardless, I'm gonna go with Rocha. I don't really care too much. I'm not putting a lot of stock into this. Don't bet this fight. Moving on, we have Irina Aleskeva versus that Beatrice. Head's on the left, tail's on the right. I don't give a fuck. I was kind of worried about this. Holy shit, she's a huge favorite? Why? What? Okay, so she's beat people in LFA. Irina Aleskeva's, like, alright, I guess. She's got good, like, throws, but she's really bad everywhere else. But it's women's MMA, so they're all bad. I'm not gonna pretend like I know who the fucking Beatrice lady is, but yeah, coin has spoken, coin has chosen. We're going Beatrice by 29-28 vintage woman split decision. Moving on, we have Vitor Petrino versus Thomas Peterson. Vitor Petrino fucking sucks. I know he just smoked Austin Lane to snap his 2-fight losing streak against Anthony fucking Smith. And the other one was to Dustin Jacoby, which I predicted perfectly. Dustin Jacoby by KO. You know, feel free to stick around for my picks and predictions. Check them out every single week that there's a UFC event. But he's a young dude. He's a juicy guy. Could be on roids. I think he's popped for roids before, I want to say. Yeah, this guy is, he's a physical presence in there. His grappling's, like, alright, but he is, like, one clean right hand puts this guy out. I think anyway. He will also let you bitch him. I thought Dustin Jacoby was winning until he got the KO as well. Anthony Smith, Vitor Petrino shot a takedown on Anthony Smith and got guillotined. I don't need to say much more than that. When he is getting taken down, though, that's when he does well. This Thomas Peterson guy, yeah, he got yeah. There's guys that beat Vitor Petrino at heavyweight, like Marcin Tybura. I don't mind. Who's that fucking something Gulov? Who fucking just fought Chris Curtis? Or Curtis Blades? What the fuck did I say Chris Curtis? Oops, that's not racist. It's because they have Chris in their name, okay? Or they have Curtis in their name. God damn it, it's just getting worse. Anyways, who the fuck is Walter Walker, Taliesin Teixeira? Like, Nick Parkin could probably beat Vitor Petrino, you know? Tai Tuivasa. Who the fuck? Who's the Russian dude that just I don't remember. Whoever just fought Curtis Blades, that guy who just got fraud checked by Curtis Blades, that fat fuck, I think he probably does beat Vitor Petrino. Vitor Petrino, if he's pressured, he will lose. You just gotta pressure him. I also thought he could have lost this Tyson Pedro fight, and Tyson Pedro fucking sucks. But Thomas Peterson is just not that guy. I think it's as simple as is. I think Thomas Peterson's probably gonna get smoked, to be honest with you. This guy is like pretty chinny. He got smoked by Shamil Gaziev. I don't rate that at all. I think it was like a jab or just a right hand that put him down too. This guy's got sloppy entries. He's slow on the feet. He's just a fat fuck at the end of the day. Vitor Petrino, even though he's going up a weight class, despite him not needing to go up a weight class, it's very clear he's going up a weight class because these heavyweights are shitter than light heavyweights, which is saying something. And I think Vitor Petrino is going to capitalize and get a KO via probably round 2, I want to say. He'll probably leave it close in round 1, land well. Thomas Peterson pressures a little bit. Vitor gets out, like, pushed against the cage or pressured against the cage. Lands a nice right hand or two. You know, probably guards a few shots here and there. And you get some wee moments from the crowds and shit like that. And then in round 2, he just, like, very early gets a 1-2 down the pipe, smokes Thomas Peterson. That's my prediction. We move on to Rafael Phil Ho versus Clayton Carpenter. Yeah, this guy just lost to Tagir. Not really a bad loss, to be honest with you. Even though Tagir is kind of like the reject from Khabib's gym. The guy who will never make it and never made it in the first place. Yeah, I mean, this guy's looked alright. Like, he's got good submissions, to be fair. They're against bums, but he's got good submissions. My thing with Clayton Carpenter is that, like, for me, he's very much, like, looks explosive. I just don't really think it's, like, he's that good, you know? Like, I think he lacks a lot of technique, and he kind of just, like, wins because he's able to outmuscle a lot of guys, you know? And he's, like, fast. Or, like, not fast. He's, like, he's explosive a lot, and then he starts to slow down, and you start seeing, like, oof, uh-oh, you know? Round 3 might get a little questionable for this guy, you know? But does okay. He's been doing okay so far. He's young. He's got time to improve. He's got time to, you know, run a mile like Merab in order to get infinite cardio, because that's how that works in your 30s. But, you know, just Merab things, guys. You know, all you need to do is run a marathon, and you just randomly get instant cardio, even though you were just gassing out to Ricky Simone in a 3-round fight. You know, it just happens in your 30s. But Rafael Phil Ho is kind of not that good. He's very open on the feet. Doesn't have good wins at all. He's also explosive, but he's a little scrawny. I think this is kind of like Clayton Carpenter's territory. I think he's probably just going to outmuscle Phil Ho. While Phil Ho, like, tries to go for submissions, Clayton survives. And then either finds a submission of his own or gets a 29-28. I think this is going to look a little bit like the Nikolai Vretnikov versus Punahele fight that just happened. Where Phil Ho's just getting outmuscled, and it's very clear, like, the physicality, like the muscle advantage Clayton Carpenter brings at flyweight is just a little bit too much for Phil Ho, and Phil Ho's just gonna get taken down, laid on a little bit. Clayton sneaks up to the back. Phil Ho's, like, defending against the rear naked. I think that was one of his fights that he was doing that. You know, when he lost to Alan Nascimento, this is interesting. Alan Nascimento. When was this? It's like Alan All-Star or some shit like that. Some nickname like that. Wow, that's his next one. Esteban, eh? Carlos Hernandez, yeah, like... Yeah, Alan Nascimento, I think, was a little bit more tested. I'm pretty sure I picked Alan Nascimento. Regardless, I think I'm going to go with Carpenter here. I just don't think Philho's that good. Like, he's fast. For flyweight, that's not uncommon, though. You know? He also strikes me as a little bit chinny. Like, a flyweight is, again, this could be a submission. This could be a KO, TKO situation. Flyweights oftentimes are chinny. I think Philho's one of those, like, chinny, relies on being a better grappler than you type of fighter. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it, you know? Yeah, he beat Ode Osborne. Like, I'm not rating that. I know Ode's coming off a close loss to Steve Erceg, but I don't care. I don't rate that much. Same thing with Daniel Barres. Don't rate that too much either. I'm going to go with Clayton Carpenter. I think he's just going to be the better fighter everywhere. We move on. Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell. Isn't this guy like sloppy seconds in his debut? Tabuaji Oki? Yeah. 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 This is the level of fighters we're getting, eh? This guy's beat nobody. Yeah. This guy's been around for a little bit longer than I thought, huh? Huh. Danny Silva, it's not like a horrible split loss to have. So if I'm remembering this, I think a lot of people are on the Danny Silva side. I think Lucas Almeida did all right in that fight. What is this at? This is at featherweight. Huh. Huh. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I know too much about Michael Aswell. The Balaji Oki fight, he kind of did just get outworked. I think this was a short notice debut. He's young, though. I don't know, man. Kind of getting sick of, like, all these bums coming from, like, debuts, losing in debuts, and then just fucking absolutely being nothing and just being cans to be crushed, you know? I feel like it's all too common, but I'm going to go with Almeida. Nah. Also, Andre Philly. Oof. He beat nobody, though. I'm gonna go with Aswell. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Aswell. By close decision. I think it'll be like Aswell arguable could have won all 3 rounds based off striking and defending any takedowns from Almeida. And I think there'll be 1 round scored for Almeida, and this might be a weird split situation because it's Brazil, and it'll be like a split that's undeserved. But I think Aswell might just scrape a win by via being a little bit better in every single round, like having a little bit more strikes landed, defending the takedowns. Yeah, you know, maybe having more control time up against the cage in the clinch, stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with Michael Aswell. Moving on, we have Ricardo Ramos versus Khan Ofli. Khan Ofli's an NPC in my opinion. This guy's just like shit. He's not really good at anything. I've picked against them. I think in these 2 fights, yeah, I mean, that's Hex. Yeah. I mean, debut, shit. You know, hey, lost to Charles Jourdain. Hey, you know, there's no sweat. There's no sweat. You know, split with Josh Cooleybow. Don't like that. This guy has been going through the ringer, huh? Julian Erosa, Charles Jourdain, Chepe Mariscal. Those are like 3 really fucking good featherweights. Like, I mean, Charles Jourdain's a you know, bantamweight, technically, right? I know he fights at featherweight sometimes, but, you know, that's a little interesting. This guy's been going through a fucking blender. I'm going to go with Ricardo Ramos. I just don't think Con Offley's good anywhere. He looks weak. He looks breakable. Ricardo Ramos is breakable, don't get me wrong. But I think you have to have talent, you know? I don't think Con Offley's got, like, fast twitch, and I don't think he's got a good game at all. Like, I don't think his grappling's good, I don't think his striking's good, and I don't think he has power in his hands. And he's got a reach disadvantage. Fuck off, you know? So I'm gonna pick Ricardo Ramos. I'm fairly confident. I think this should be an easy Ricardo fight. You know, again, could be another, like, weird decision situation. But we move on. Jonathan Deniz versus Mario Pinto. This is, sad to see Jonathan Deniz in this state. At one point, I thought this guy was pretty good. You know, Alvin Hines, that was not a good fight. That was not a good fight. This was like... This one I remember vividly. If I remember correctly, Alvin Hines, he wasn't doing well, but, like, he was tough enough to survive Jonathan Deniz. And there were so many times where it's like, Jonathan, land one more punch and this guy goes out cold. But he got respect because he was like a cancer survivor or something like that. And he was able to tough it out or some shit like that. Got hit by a truck. I don't know. He had some weird medical thing in his past or something like that. Veteran maybe. I don't know. Something weird like that. Weird storyline they were promoting for Alvin Hines. And Jonathan needed a win after getting fraud checked by Marcin Tybura. And he got the win. He looks very hesitant on the feet. That leads me to pick Mario Pinto here. I'm not confident in this, even though it's like, you know, slight favorite here. Bro, this guy smoked nobody. Austin Lane, congrats. Welcome to the club. You know, congrats. You beat a 40-year-old former NFL player. Congrats, I guess. Jonathan Deniz is not that great. I just don't like the hesitancy I saw. Jonathan Deniz had quite literally a punching bag victim in front of him. He could have finished that fight if he wanted to. He chose not to finish that fight. I don't like that. I cannot pick you to win a fight. If I see, oh, you're like, that's my problem with Joe Pyfer and his Kelvin Gastelum fight. You could have tried to finish that guy in round 1, 2, and 3. You only tried in round 1, and after round 1, you're like, oh, I won that round, guys, right? I won round 2? All right, and then you took the 3rd round off. Jonathan Deniz is kind of that guy. He might be that guy where he might just take a round off. Very open on the feet, too. A little bit slow, but he's got, like, good volume, I guess. Pinto's just a big dude at heavyweight, and sometimes that's enough to get you in a Derek Lewis fight. And I think Mario Pinto might be the next Derek Lewis victim. Depending where Derek Lewis' career goes off. So I'm going to go with Mario Pinto via round 1 KO. I'm not that confident. I'm picking this basically because this is a pick against Jonathan Deniz, not because I think Pinto's good. Hey, full transparency. But yeah, this is against Jonathan Deniz from his last performance. Also, zero urgency when it gets taken down or held against the cage. So if Pinto has brain cells, he just needs to shoot a takedown. I can't trust him to have brain cells, but I can trust him to smoke a guy who will most likely want this to be a 3-round fight. So, yeah. Yeah, man. He also smoked Austin Lane. But yeah, moving on, we have Vicente Luque, Joel Alvarez. I've seen the odds for this fight. Strongly disagree with the odds for this fight. Listen, Joel Alvarez has been looking really, really good. And he's only lost a high-level comp recently. That was 3 years ago, to be fair. This guy's riddled with injuries, though. It feels like every couple months, this guy's got an injury, pulls out of a fight gets canceled, or some shit goes on with Joel Alvarez. Vicente Luque's not far off from that. He had, like, brain surgery or some shit like that. Joel Alvarez is going to be the bigger dude, despite him coming up a weight division. Something about this tickles the top of my balls, you know? It tickles the nutsack a little bit with Vicente Luque via an upset here. Something about it. When I saw these odds, I just thought those were massively disrespectful. Listen, Luque is a 50-50 fighter, not only because of his record, but there's nights where he shows up and looks like a champion, and there's nights where he shows up and looks like a fucking bitch to be victimized, you know? Kevin Holland, I want to say. Yeah, that was his recent one, where he got submitted. That was a shit performance, and he looked like Unk in there. He looked like a 40-year-old man despite him being 33. And this guy's definitely like 40, 45 in fight years. This guy has been through the ringer of wars. That's kind of the question. Themba Gorimbo, he looks like a world killer, even though they're short notice Themba, I get it. Joaquin Buckley got fucking smoked. And that's mainly because Joaquin Buckley is just a better fighter. And he had a brain bleed moment where he had foot on the hips and decided not to push. And he was just a punching bag. That was one of the most rigged looking fights I've ever seen in UFC history. RDA, congrats. You beat a 40-year-old man. But he did it in an impressive fashion, to be fair. And then the Jeff Neal loss. I mean, like, it's just, like, this is what I mean. Will Joel Alvarez pass the test like he did with Drakkar Klose? Because I thought Drakkar Klose could have beat Joel. Because, like, something about Joel just doesn't, like, tickle my fancy. You know? He just screams like he fights victims. And yeah, he beats the victims. Like, oh, KO over Thiago Moises. Submission over Mark DeCasey. KO over like, these guys are bums, man. And people rate this guy like, especially MMA Guru, they'll rate this guy very highly. Listen, great performance against Drakkar Klose. This speaks to me the way Neil Magny, Jake Matthews, the way Neil Magny fucking, what was that fight? Not Mike Malott, the other one he fought. Fuck, I can't remember the name. He was like a plus 500. But this speaks to me like, the veteran might get the fucking upset here. Despite these guys being around for so long. And Vicente Luque, like, technique-wise, is good. That's something, like, to be mentioned. Technique-wise, he's better than Joel Alvarez's last 3 opponents, by far. I'm gonna go with Joel Alvarez. I'm gonna go with Joel Alvarez. I'm gonna go Joel by submission. I think it's gonna get scrappy, and I think someone's gonna shoot a takedown, and I think Joel is gonna get the better of the scrambles. Vicente doesn't really have great scrambles. He did against Themba, but that was like after he basically had Themba knocked out. So I'm gonna go with Joel Alvarez. Via submission. I reckon round 1, round 2. After like an interesting scramble. This could even go like 3rd round decision. I don't rate Joel Alvarez that much. This fight might make me rate him something, especially now that he's up a weight class. I don't know, it's interesting. We'll see. We'll see what happens with good old Joel here. Moving on. We have this is the co-main event. Wow. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. The odds, my brother. Very disrespectful to the hardest hitting 125er in Deiveson Figueiredo, former champion at 135 or 125, sorry. Yeah, he did lose to Corey Sandhagen when his knee popped out. Why the fuck is he taking this fight 5 months after a knee injury? That just clicked in. No wonder why these odds are so wide. Why the fuck did he just take this fight? Your knee just popped out. Your knee just popped out. Why the fuck are you taking this fight? What are we doing? Anyways, yeah, maybe Father Time's just creeping in. Peter Yan performance. He had moments where he did well against Peter Yan, but oftentimes people do, and then they lose to Peter Yan. Chito Vera whooped his ass. Cody Garbrandt whooped his ass. And Rob Font whooped his ass. Montel Jackson. I mean, he beat Daniel Marcos. I picked Montel Jackson to beat Daniel Marcos. He beat Damon Blackshear, but I don't rate that much, I'll be honest, man. I really don't. Damon's very Jalen Turner, Like, sometimes he looks really good, sometimes he looks pretty retarded, Also, there's stories like this guy's a part-time fighter and shit. I don't know how much I believe that he doesn't, like, train as much or he doesn't show up. I don't really believe that much. But what has me picking Deiveson Figueiredo is comp and experience. Bro, Figueiredo's been in there with the best of the best, and his losses are to Brandon Moreno, where he did quit on the stool. I don't think Jackson's that guy to make this guy quit on the stool. Peter Yan, a guy who masterclassed in fucking striking and trips. Montel Jackson's not that fucking guy to trip Davison Figueiredo and get really good Muay Thai going. And then Corey Sandhagen, probably the best Beakers and Tubes martial artist there is. But Corey did it via knee injury. Like, he literally did it by illegally popping out his fucking knee. I get it, 50-50 position, whatever Corey wants to describe it. And Corey, like, was kind of, like, doing his thing. But I think that was a very easy Corey pick against Figueiredo, you know? Pretty sure I even picked Corey Sandhagen despite me being a Figueiredo fan. I think this is like Figueiredo could find a win here. You know, I reckon either a submission. I'm gonna go decision actually. I'm gonna go decision. I think a 29-28 very clear Davison Figueiredo decision is gonna happen here. Figueiredo's pretty good at counter striking and he's got a wide stance. Montel Jackson leaves a lot to be desired in the striking. He's good enough to beat prospects on the come up and like older fighters that are like on their way out, like a Rob Font. I think he'd beat. I don't think he's good enough to beat the Figueiredos. Let me just see the roster real quick. You know, he's not beating fucking O'Malley anytime soon. Umar, Mario Bautista, like these names are just not people Montel Jackson beats, in my opinion. Jackson, I think, is gonna have kind of like a rude awakening here. I think he's gonna get broken in this fight, in my opinion. I think we're gonna see him break. Like, I've seen Figueiredo break, but I have to be able to see that you can break him, despite him having a much shorter reach than Jackson and being the much shorter guy. I think this might look a lot like Gene, like without the barking and the fucking showboating. I think this is gonna look a lot like Bryce Mitchell, Gene Silva, where yeah, Jackson is gonna land in moments and have his success. Figueiredo is gonna be up in the rounds, and it'll be clear Figueiredo round, and it's just like Jackson's not gonna be doing enough, and Figueiredo is gonna be going for like a submission attempt or some shit. So I had Figueiredo winning this one. I think these odds are disrespectful. I think I saw him at plus 300 not too long ago. So I might sprinkle on him. I think it's worth putting a tenner on, you know, Davison Figueiredo for a flyer. I don't mind those, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Figueiredo. I don't see. I picked right. I think a lot of Montel Jackson's fights, but he doesn't have any fight where I'm like, yeah, this makes me think he beats Davison Figueiredo. Where I can look at Figueiredo and be like, yeah, he did whoop Rob Font, a good striker, on the feet. He whooped him on the feet. Despite him having low volume, he was able to counter-strike properly. He whooped Cody Garbrandt and submitted him. A guy who's like got okay grappling, I guess, Cody Garbrandt, you know. And then Chito Vera, a tough dude where he just like pieced up for 3 rounds, or maybe it was a 5 round. I actually can't remember if this was a 3 or 5 rounder, but he whooped Chito Vera. Chito Vera just don't got it. But yeah, Figgy's gonna be my pick. I think he got it to vintage crafty vet style, 29-28. Jackson's also getting older, man. And there's times where this guy looks chinny. There's times where I think he makes mistakes in the grappling. He's been getting away with fighting low-level opponents. I think Daniel Marcos is dog shit. And that's why I picked Montel Jackson. But even then, there's not terrible takes, in my opinion, to say that Marcos was, like, on his way to victory in moments. If I'm remembering correctly, that was a pretty close fight, despite it being unanimous. That was one of those fights I thought it was going to be a split decision. Because I want to say Montel Jackson actually had the control time. And now that I think about it, I want to look this up. Montel Jackson. I want to say he had like control. Yeah, it was the takedowns control time that he had that really. Okay, he did land more strikes. Okay, I was thinking he was getting outstruck, but maybe I'm misremembering there. Hand up, you know. But yeah, and Daniel Marcos is a fucking weak twink, bro. He is. He just is. And Davison Figueiredo is like a ball of muscle, so I think it's a little bit different. I think this might be a style clash. I think Montel Jackson's going to get frustrated, and Figueiredo's just going to be able to survive the strikes of Montel Jackson, because I think Figueiredo's the better grappler. So I think Figueiredo's going to get it done. Knee injury has me worried, although I've seen Yuri come back from a fucking shoulder tear, the worst the UFC's ever seen. And do well and have success. And I've seen other fighters come back from injuries just fine. And the fact that he took this fight against a young up-and-comer in Montel Jackson speaks to me like they got a plan or something. Maybe it's just because of Rio that could be a thing, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Figueiredo. We move on to the main event. Charles do Bronx Oliveira takes on Mateus Gamrot. I like Charles Oliveira. I don't mind his odds here. If we're talking about a prime Charles Oliveira, I think he's too far past his prime. I know 35 isn't the oldest, and these guys technically, like, they're only about a year apart in age. All of this Oliveira that we've seen for the past 2 years, I want to say, yeah, for the past, like, 2 years, is a hesitant decision artist, Oliveira. And what I mean by that is that he's trying to win a decision. He's trying to get those moments where he gets the crowd behind him. He's trying to get the, oh, guys, look at me. I've got a submission locked in, but he doesn't actually have a submission locked in like he did with Arman Tsarukyan, despite that being a close fight. The Michael Chandler fight, he was leaving it way too close on the feet, and my liking for a rematch with Chandler where he whooped him in the first fight, and old Chandler's able to do much better. Don't like that at all. And then Ilia Topuria sleeping him only 3 months ago, out cold. I think Charles went on record saying that's the hardest he's ever been hit. Yeah. Despite this being short notice, when I think about this fight, I think Oliveira, it's going to be striking for a little bit. And I'm not worried about Oliveira's chin necessarily. Obviously, there's worries because he just got flatline KO'd. You might hear a TV in the background, I apologize. I'm not too concerned about him getting KO'd. I'm more concerned about him making dumb, brain-dead IQ moves because of him getting knocked out cold. I think a lot of the time it goes under the radar when we see fighters knocked out cold, and then in the next fight, they're just retarded. And I think this might be a moment where it's like Oliveira's doing okay on the feet. Gamrot might have got cracked. Oliveira shoots a takedown. We get into a grappling situation. Gamrot gets the back. Gamrot gets the advantage. Gamrot reverses position. Gamrot gets on top. Lays Oliveira out flat and just starts raining in elbows or something like that. Something with Gamrot's way of grappling. He's really good at scrambles, and he's really good at making it obvious he's winning positions. That's what I like to see when I see a grappler. Oliveira is too content with getting the back, holding the back, and that's it. He doesn't really strike that much. It could have been the back of the headshots that really lowered the IQ of Oliveira. Bro, he went for a clinch out in the open in no man's land, ignoring the void breakdown, as the GOAT Demetrius would say, and he tried to go for a clinch, fucking reaching his arms all the way out to the heavens, and he got chinned for it. I don't mind Gamrot getting a KO or a submission, to be honest, but I think this has, like, Gamrot surviving in a 5-round fight. I reckon a TKO is very possible. I think I'm going to go Gamrot ground and pound TKO via Oliveira being dumb in positions. We don't see Oliveira, like, very snappy fast go for the back, lock in the rear naked anymore. We don't see that fast twitch muscle lock in the calf slicer, transition that shit. And when he was doing it, he was doing it to, like, low-level comp or, like, the old era. Gamrot, I think, is like, this in some respects could be the title fight of, like, 3 years ago. If Islam didn't get the title shot because he beat Bobby Green. Just a reminder, he got the title shot off Bobby Green and Dan Hooker. Just a reminder. But if that didn't happen and Islam, like, lost a fight or, like, fought someone not on a short notice and it was close or whatever, and we got Gamrot coming off the win streak he was coming off of, this could have been the fight. Oliveira as champ versus Gamrot. And I think we're a little... Back then, I would have picked Oliveira. Right now, I'm picking Gamrot. I think Gamrot's more locked in. He's more switched on. I picked Dan Hooker to beat him. I was completely right. And this is what it came down to. Gamrot will lose to fighters that have heat in their hands and where Gamrot wants to strike. If you want to grapple with Gamrot, Gamrot's gonna beat you like 10 times out of 10. I want to say, what's his name? Benil Dariush has a win on Mateus Gamrot. I just want to verify Gamrot. I want to say Benil has a win on this guy. Yeah, he does have one on this guy. But I think a lot of people contest this, even though I don't think it's that contestable. If I remember correctly, rewatching the fight. Or like watching the fight after it happened and took place. But I do think you just have to be better at scrambles or a really dangerous striker. And I don't think Oliveira is that, you know? I think he's very content with getting the back. He's good against, like, Oliveira's good against wrestlers. He's not good against guys who can actually threaten a submission, actually scramble out of a submission threat, you know? Like, Poirier's got good submissions, but he's really bad at getting out of submissions. I think Gamrot's good enough to survive. I'm going to go Gamrot via ground and pound. I'm going to reckon probably round 4. I think we're going to see Oliveira slow down. I think round 2 to 4, like round 2, 3, and 4 is where we're going to see like a Gamrot TKO, arguable, could have stopped situation. But overall, I think a Gamrot by decision is pretty safe. Even short notice, I'm not that worried. There's a reason why Gamrot took this fight short notice. I think he's got a good game plan. Dustin Poirier, I think, is a teammate with Gamrot. Oliveira's fought Poirier, so, you know, 1 + 1 = 2, so they can train together, and Gamrot can learn about everything. And yeah, I don't see Oliveira winning after getting chinned like that 3 months out. Maybe that's just me, but I'm on the, I think Oliveira can chin Gamrot. Gamrot is chinny, and we could see an early stoppage situation where, like, Gamrot gets dropped and the ref jumps in. I think that's Oliveira's best chance. He's not flatlining out cold Gamrot. That's just not going to happen. I don't think he hits harder than Hooker, and I don't think he's a better striker than Hooker. Maybe that's a hot take, but yeah, so that's what I have going. That's been my picks and predictions for UFC Rio. Charles Oliveira versus Mateus Gamrot. If you made it to the end of the video, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll probably have this out either Tuesday or Thursday, despite whatever day this is. I'm recording on a Sunday right after 3:20. Fights might fall out. If they fall out, I'm going to fucking put any fight I care about, I'll put in a updated prediction in the bottom of the description of this video. If it falls out, main event, whatever the fuck, right? That being said, I want to thank you for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good day. Let's go for that.